very interesting press conference from Martin O'Neill ahead of the match against Poland. Kevin, what's your initial thoughts?
Well, Martin spoke towards the back end of his press conference there. It's about a bit of a sideshow. Yes, it probably is a sideshow, but it's distracting the side. Clearly, it's distracting the side. You know, I'm quite happy with not having a real link to that side now. I don't have any link. I don't speak to any of the players now. So you don't have an in within that squad. You're quite happy judging the team on what you're actually seeing on the pitch, which has been very, very poor over the last few years. But these stories are continuously coming out. Now, if this is not, it's not a new thing. This is, yeah, we're hearing stories constantly. But this is kind of like the tip of the iceberg. We're hearing these stories constantly of bickering between management team and players. It has to affect the team on the pitch, and that's what we're all judging the side of. We're judging the side on what they're producing, which was substandard against Wales the other night. It was substandard in the last competitive game prior to that against Denmark. That's what we're judging the side on. And these sorts of things that are continuously happening cannot be aiding the side in any way, shape or form. That's the initial thoughts on it. Yes, he's right in the fact is Martin O'Neill where he's saying that spats happen, there's plenty of bickering that happens, but does it get to that level? Does it get to the level that, again, he alleges, he says he's had a different version of events from Roy, from what Stephen Ward's actually said within the audio, but I would say in general what Stephen Ward has been saying, or what he said, is he's heard it firsthand. If he wasn't there, he's heard it firsthand. So in general, when players would talk to each other, they would be actually saying, I know it's gone off to his friends, and his friends have let that out. His friends have let him down badly within that anyway. But I think in general that would be first-hand information, and it probably would have happened. That's the only way that I can judge it from an outsider looking in.
Brian, you've been making plenty of notes there.
Well, I was listening to some of the things Martin said and also getting some thoughts together. I think the real issue here is the team, are we getting the best possible team on the pitch to play for Ireland in every match we play? Looking at this situation, I would say no, because Harry Arter isn't here for reasons that seem to be of the making of some of his staff, OK? Are the team, when they go out on the pitch, prepared tactically in the best way possible for the challenges ahead of them? The evidence from lots of games, not just the two recent games, in the group games, the style of football was awful. The team and the staff have lost their connect with the Irish soccer public, in my view. People don't go to the matches expecting a bit of joy in their lives. Who's responsible for that? The management, the staff, the players. Now, there's 5 staff working with this team. That's their role, to make sure the players are properly prepared, that the right players are picked, that there are no losses from the squad because of internal squabbles or altercations, as Martin used the phrase, that aren't sorted out quickly. And this one hasn't been sorted out quickly. He's referred to it that went on in May. These matches were talked about in September, and it hasn't been fixed yet. What are the 5 staff? What are their roles? What is the role of the assistant manager? It's certainly not to be giving players stick who are not training. The role of the assistant manager is to assist the manager, generally with the coaching, in giving opinion when you're asked, to help out on the training ground, to observe players and scout. It's not, in my view, to be challenging players as to why they're not training, challenging players as to why they're getting treatment for injuries. This is another incident in a sequence of incidents that are unsavoury and not the right thing that should be happening around our team. One other thing I'd mention is the number of times that Martin O'Neill goes back to his playing career and the management of style of Brian Clough. I think at this stage is farcical. It's 40 years ago, and it has very little relevance to current requirements of modern management, in my opinion. He shouldn't be referring back to him and how Brian Clough did his business at half-time or how he spoke to the players. The game has moved on now, and I don't think that's at all relevant to this situation.
Kevin, you mentioned the historical references as well, and we've heard about this spat, but Martin also mentioned industrial language. Is there a point, though, when you step across the line, and has that point been reached now?
No, of course, there have been times when players, when management when coaches, physiotherapists, whoever it backroom team do step across the line, and things are said that you can't come back on. You can't come back on sometimes. The thing is, I do agree with Martin when he said about asking Harry himself. I think we do need to hear from Harry Arter. Personally, I do, because I would have killed to play for my country. I would have died to get one cap, never mind the amount of caps that I got. So why has he walked out from this squad? He's saying he's let it be known to certain people. I've not heard. I've not heard why Harry Arter has walked out of this squad. This was the first I heard today. The real reasons as to why he's walked out or to why he's refusing to play. So we do need to need to know that.
Said that there are other reasons that Harry has told people. We haven't heard any reason. We haven't heard. We've only got Martin announcing the squad and saying he's not in it, but he also made reference to altercations.
But with regards to Roy, now you played him, we all know he has a specific type of character, but is there a pattern beginning to develop here?
Well, we only need to look 2 years ago. I felt he was out of order with addressing the squad that was picked for the Euros in 2016 when he questioned one or two players' playing careers. I felt that was wrong. Personally, I don't think assistant managers should be coming out and saying the things that he said then. It's again, we're hearing what's been said. If we're led to believe what Stephen Ward said, what we're hearing in this recording is true. I've known Roy at times to fly off the handle, quite famously over in Saipan. Yes, I've seen him fly off the handle, and I've seen things that's been said that are irreparable. In answer to your original question, what you're saying, things are said when you overstep the line, and he can't be brought back from that. You know, he came back and played under Brian. He never played again under Mick McCarthy, and that relationship was irreparable probably at that stage when he did leave the side. We did welcome him back. And we felt as though it was the best for the team on the pitch. That was it, on the pitch, that we were going to be a better side with Roy playing for us. And in fairness, Brian addressed it, we all addressed it, and we got on with it. And that was kind of how it happened at that particular time. But when you're management, when you're actually supposed to be, you have a duty and care to look after the players that's there for you, you try to get the best out of the players, to work hard for you, is the sort of spats that we're hearing about.
They need to be treated with respect.
Of course they do.
And it seems that there may be... Like, we're looking at a situation where Harry Arter is not here now. Declan Rice is not here now. John Walters isn't fit enough to play in the second game. He's had the strength to come there. Stephen Ward is injured. But is there a comeback now for Stephen Ward? Will we lose another Premiership player?
But is this because they're not comfortable with the setup?
Well, we don't know that, do we? We don't know that. John Walters clearly... If there has been a spat, which, yes, Martin has confirmed, yes, there has been a spat between Roy and John Walters. John is obviously of the mindset that he can take it and come back and face up. There's no issues there. But if you're questioning a player's ability to train or questioning their commitment to the side, then that's out of order. In my mind, that is totally out of order. It's bang out of order if that were to be the case.
Brian, from a management perspective, you always back your players, and I suppose at times you back your staff as well. For Martin, do you think he's becoming tired of having to speak constantly about Roy Keane? Is there, again, maybe, is Roy going to step too far for him?
I think there were times in the last couple of years where he actually said that he was tired of talking about Roy. I think today he knew what was coming and he was prepared for it, and he had to back a staff member. What you wonder now is that if he was starting in the position again, would he go the same road? He had John Robertson with him for years at different clubs along the way. Roy worked with him for a time at Aston Villa. But you would wonder, given the number of issues that have come along over the period of time, but we are in the situation we're at the moment. How are they going to come back? What they need to do is get a result from the game tomorrow night, badly. What I'd be more interested in hearing from the players, rather than Stephen Ward's unfortunate release of his version of what happened, would be what the players have to say about the game preparation. Are the tactics clear for the match? Do they know their roles clearly within the team, what they're supposed to do in performing for themselves, for the team when they have the ball, and what they're supposed to do when they haven't got the ball. Because for too often for me, I look at the game and I say, those players don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They're looking to each other for advice, and they're looking at the sideline for advice while the game is going on. That work needs to be done in advance of the match in detail.
Kev, to sum up, where is this kind of heading? One, for the players involved, for Harry Arter and Stephen Ward, and also for Martin's regime.
It looks that Harry Arter won't be picked while Martin O'Neill is the manager's side. That's the way it looked to me. That's the way it seemed to me off the back of it. We're crazy to think, or a manager and his coaching staff are crazy to think that this type of incident will not get out. We're all going to clubs. Brian and I go into games regularly over in England on weekends. How many rumours have you heard about certain people that said something to a manager on the training ground? This happens. It's happened prior to social media days, and it's continuously going to happen again going forward. So if there's any sort of incident, which I do imagine, as Martin has said, there will be something that flares up again, it will be reported, it will get out in one way or another. And we can't stop that happening. That's just the way of the world now, that's the way it is. But maybe in answer to your question, where do I see this going? Personally, and something that Brian has touched on right at the start, we need the best 11 out on the pitch that's available to the manager, and we haven't got that. It needs to be sorted right now. It needs to be addressed, whether that would come from Martin, Roy, shake hands and get on with it. That's the way that I would see it. And now we cannot continue over the next year where these sort of spats are continuing to happen, because it's not good to the team. The team are underperforming as it is, and we're not getting the best from the side. Come the Euro qualifiers next year, we're not getting the best from the side.
We're just going to take a look at the back page of the Irish Independent, an article by Dan MacDonald. You can see the headline there for yourself. And is there a way back for Keane? Well, Brian, is there a way back for Roy after this?
It looks like there's a good few letters missing off that headline there. I'm not quite sure what those words are.
We won't get you to fill it in, don't worry.
No, I won't try. Is there a way back? Well, I think the contents of what Daniel said, he's obviously close to the mark. He's over in Poland, and there's obviously some phone calls been made today, and there's some efforts been made at conciliation, and I'm sure Martin has had to say to people, look, you need to make some phone calls here to ensure we get the players that we need to play in the matches. I mean, the bottom line here is we're losing players not because of the fact that they're just injured or they're gone too old to play, but we're losing players, it seems, because they don't want to play for the staff now. They don't want to play for the country. But they don't have a row with the idea of playing for Ireland. They have a problem with the staff, and that can't be right. We need our staff to get the best possible team on the pitch. We need them to be able to prepare well, that they're going to get the results that we would like them to see getting, and that's not happening at the moment.
Looking at the article, Kevin, we saw Martin O'Neill earlier back Roy Keane to the hilt, but afterwards he was obviously asked again, and he pretty much agreed that Roy Keane went too far. Is that maybe a slight come down now?
Oh, maybe slightly. I think he was quite defiant and very much behind Roy in his press conference today. Yeah, it always annoys me when things like this do get too far. People don't pick up the phone and just let these things drag out. You only get one shot at an international career. Now, if that's for Harry Arter to pick up the phone to Roy to pick up the phone to Harry Arter, Brian's saying that we don't have a massive pool of players that we can pick from. This guy's playing Premier League football. We tried to get him in over the last few years. He hasn't necessarily performed well. I'm not saying he's performed well, but he's a player that's playing at the top level of football over in England, and we need him in the side. So this needs sorted. That's all I would say. It needs sorted now quickly, because if this festers, that's going to manifest around the rest of the squad. And lads talk. That's the way it is. The talk will be, when's it going to go off again? When's it going to go off again? So this needs to be sorted quickly. That's the way that I would look at it, yeah.
And you said as well that you would do anything to play in an Irish shirt, and that's something the Irish team has always been famed for, is the spirit. And now it seems like there's no spirit in that camp.
And if you take that spirit away, we are a below average side. That's the way I would see it. Over the years, we've had very good players that have played for Ireland, but the spirit has carried us. That has been the one thing. We've managed to get results when we've played against probably better players at times, and it's been the collective spirit that has got us through games. If we lose that spirit within the camp, we are just an ordinary side. That's the way that I would see it. So getting that team spirit, that bond back amongst the players, which I'm sure is there, don't get me wrong, but if you're getting these sort of little things that's going to continue to manifest around that side, we will just be an average side, and we won't be beating any of the top sides again.
Brian, whatever about losing spirit, what about losing matches? If O'Neill and the team do lose to Poland, where does that leave them?
Well, generally in a situation like this, we saw it with Denmark the other day, there's a reaction from the players, there's a reaction from the staff. Everyone pulls together to make it happen. and it's quite possible they can get a result against Poland tomorrow night. I'll go back to something on this situation. We need a bit of leadership from the top people in the FAI to bang some heads together and say, this isn't good enough in the job you're in with the money we're paying you. Even if they were paying them very little money, it's not good enough. It needs to be sorted, as Kevin said. And the top people in the FAI need to go and tell them, fix it. We don't want any more of this again. We don't want any repeats of this. Get it sorted.
Kevin, can you see anything tomorrow night against Poland?
I'm worried, I have to say that, yeah, but we have managed over the years to get results. If I think back maybe to the Cyprus game when we were horrific, one of the worst performances that I've ever been part of, we came back to Dublin and we had to stick tight. We had to go out against the Czech Republic at Lansdowne on the Wednesday, and we had to do something, and we did. I was actually as proud of that performance as I've ever been in an Ireland shirt, because I knew with the stick that we were all getting that week, the scrutiny we were all under, and it's going to take something special to get us back on track.
OK, well, we'll wait to see if that happens.